Hello, everyone. This is Raphael Ray. Today is May 22, 2022. I just went to our local Dollar Tree to buy whatever foods I could find on clearance, and because I was running low on my debit money, the money in my bank account, I intentionally passed up anything that I would have wanted that was not covered by food stamps. So everything I bought was covered by food stamps. However, as I was being ran up, as the Latina was ringing me up, she only covered half of what I was buying on food stamps. And without my expecting it. I kept an eye on her closely, saying everything's covered, everything here should be covered by food stamps. And she looked in the bag and kept a straight face and said, "Well, you owe $2 and something cents." So I had to pay half of what I was buying in debit money when I originally wasn't supposed to. She was counting on me to assume that the computer glitched, and at first I did. But but she was acting so sweet that I assumed it was not her fault. And I kept a close eye on her face. And she was not wearing a mask, so I was able to. Your experiences with people of color serving in our serving in our stores and in our government explains why Democrats want to make whites a minority by 2030. And it also says why they don't have any tolerance or respect for white supremacy or replacement theory. Naturally, like all malevolent monsters, they don't want anyone to be onto them. So they vilify calling them out as a bigoted, racist theorist. A couple months ago, another Latina tried to jip me a lot worse. I may or may not have discussed this on a previous video. I once went into basically a repackaging secondhand shop. This is a secondhand shop that has stock, unopened boxes of things that was not sold in previous stores. And I went to pay sales tax that I neglected to pay 2 other times. With no one else in the shop but another guy who came out to watch me closely. She said, "Well, you owe $9 and something cents," when really our sales tax is only 9% of every dollar. So now I only spent $10 there in the first place, so I was only supposed to pay a small fraction of $10 in tax. But she tried to convince me, and she did, that the sales tax I had to pay was almost $10, so I almost had to pay the full price in tax. She convinced me I had to pay 99% of the dollar. And I assumed out loud that the sales tax would have been risen, and she nodded very subversively. She nodded like, I said, "But isn't that supposed to be only 9 cents?" But then they would have raised the tax, and she went like, And because I didn't have any cash on me, I gave it up and didn't bother, and then went out the door. Only a few minutes later did I realize how she was lying to me. She tried to gyp me of the she tried to gyp me a lot more sales tax than I really should have paid. This is the real reason why people of color are indeed being replaced by whites in general retail and in our federal government. Look at what just happened at the Supreme Court. A white liberal who is not too bad far left was harassed and intimidated to resign to make way for the black woman that was later nominated, Ketanji Brown Jackson. Replacement theory is not a theory. It's acknowledgement of reality that we are all seeing play out. Replacement is truth. It is reality. I'm Raphael Ray, keeping honesty alive in the world that wants it dead.